All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone, who were well. Peace and mercy to the Tazadak Akim out there that's laboring his truth with all sincerity. I want to say Shalom. All right, in today's topic, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, all right, is going into how Esau plotted, you know, basically plotting against the downfall of Israel. And the topic is going to go into the wealth gap, all right, and especially around the Jim Crow era times, okay? And this basically shows you how much the so-called white man hates the Israelites, which is the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, how he systematically, all right, broke us down and brought us down, so we won't be able, to thrive, all right, here in society. Okay, so I want to start off with this first precept. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 12. It reads, "The wicked plotteth against the just." Now, who's the wicked? The wicked is the so-called white man, Esau, Edom. Okay? Remember the scriptures in Job 9 and 24 says the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. And we know, going back into Esau's blessing, he was given the fatness of the earth. All right. And we know that Esau, the so-called white man, and when you go into the book of Malachi, the first chapter, he is the border of wickedness. Okay. In this plain day, he's a wicked man. All right. So it says the wicked plotteth against the just. And who's the just? The just are the Israelites. All right, he plots constantly. All right, when you read Micah 2, the second chapter, you know he devises iniquity. All right, so the so-called white man, all right, Esau Edom, he plots against the just, which is the Israelites. He plots against what? Our downfall. All right, ultimately he's plotting on how to uh microchip the Israelites and how he could systematically, make the Israelites more poor. All right, by making those, even a great example is that's why he passes draconian laws, harsh laws upon the people. All right, even his own people, but really to oppress the Israelites. All right, and that's why I wanted to bring out the wealth gap by the around the Jim Crow times. All right, because a lot of people don't understand it's all through the Most High doing, but because the Most High put it on Esau to put this oppression upon us, but it shows you that the hatred he really has towards us and how he really didn't want to see us have ownership here in America. Okay, so he always constantly plots on our downfall. All right, even when you read the book of Psalms, the 83rd chapter. Remember, it says they are the nations come together. All right, they have a secret council. Just basically to matter of fact, let's get it real quick. Salakia, you're not butcher the scriptures. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 3. It says, "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance." So this is a part of that plotting, that crafty counsel. They always plot and devise iniquity upon the Israelites. Okay? So let me go back to Psalms 37 to finish the verse. This is Psalms chapter 37, okay? Verse 12. It reads, "The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon them with his teeth." When you gnash upon with your teeth, it's showing, all right, how angry he is towards um the nation of Israel. All right, he's very angry. So you gnash your teeth. It's like you're showing that you're highly angry, highly mad, highly frustrated. Okay, and a lot of precepts back that up alone. Revelations 12 and 12. All right, the devil come upon you, come down with great wrath because he knows he has a short time. Okay, you know. So the so-called white man, he gnashes upon us with his teeth, showing that true frustration and hatred he has towards the Israelites, which is so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Now let me get Isaiah 35. All right, I'm gonna get. I'm gonna start from verse. Let's start from verse 1 real quick. We're gonna go quick. So this is Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. All right. So we're prophesying against Mount Seir, or what's modern day Mount Seir? America. All right. As well as Mount Seir represents Esau, Edom, because he descends from Mount Seir. All right. That's where his origins began. Okay, so we're prophesying against America, and we're prophesying against Esau's rulership. Okay, it says, and say unto it, thus saith the Lord power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate, because the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, he is against Esau. All right, the scriptures speak about how that he toucheth the apple of the Lord's eye. So the Lord is coming with vengeance. All right, and he laid a heavy yoke upon the children of Israel. All right, not only through rape, robbery, and murder, but systematically. And we're gonna bring that out through the spirit with the wealth gap. Okay, so it says, and so the Lord is gonna, basically destroy America. All right, he's gonna wipe out America through concentrated fire, through thermonuclear missiles, along with the chariots of fire. It reads, "I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord." All right, because he's scriptures speak about how uh uh Sodom and Gomorrah was an example. Okay, and that's exactly in America it's spiritually Sodom and Egypt. All right. Verse 5, it says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. All right, when you go into perpetual, it goes into everlasting. He has an everlasting hatred towards us. So it says, it has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. All right, so we're going to just focus on him having that perpetual hatred. And through the wealth gap and after the Jim Crow, it shows that. All right, so let's get it. So I put wealth gap, Jim Crow. It reads Jim Crow laws significantly widen the racial wealth gap by systematically denying Black Americans opportunities for economic advancement through forced labor like sharecropping and convict leasing, exclusion from quality education, jobs, housing, and fair banking. Okay, banking. So this is what the so-called white man did. This is how he systematically broke us down. We wasn't able to get good jobs. All right, just like Jake now, a lot of who's working the minimum wage jobs, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, the quality of education. A lot of these so-called, the other nations and the so-called white men, they go to private schools, okay? They go to the best colleges, you know? It says housing. We're placed in what? Projects. Go into the history of projects. Initially housing projects were for the military, but then as time progressed, they pushed Jake into those projects, and then they pushed what? Drugs, guns, okay, into our community so we could destroy ourselves. All right. Why you don't think you're gonna see drugs and stuff like that in the suburbs? Yeah, you see it, but it's not. You don't see a crack dealer on the corner in Beverly Hills. You know. So it says in fair banking, meaning we wasn't able to what get loans. All right. Even to this day, we're not able to get certain loans. Okay. Um, we wasn't able to when you go through a bank, we wasn't able to get a certain house.